Hello, my name is Andrea Winn, and I am going to be sharing something very sacred and very powerful with you today. I will be giving a teaching on the secret spiritual power that will defeat Trump. And I am speaking to you first and foremost as a citizen of this earth who is part of what this earth is going through right now and providing leadership within that. I identify as a light worker, as a star seed. I am a Catholic, and I was brought up a Tibetan Buddhist. I am 57 years old now, and part of what I have done in this lifetime is I formed and led an organization that in less than 1 year exposed a major influential global cult. We exposed the leader as a sexual predator, and he has since had to leave the community, and there are various investigations pending upon him. So I'm speaking from a place of being a spiritual warrior. I rose up and I created an organization, and that organization created profound change that's global, that it not only affected the community that this leader was a community leader for, but also many, many, many other spiritual communities that have cult leader type leaders. My work has impacted them. So I am speaking from this place of being a spiritual warrior, a successful spiritual warrior. And I am specifically going to be giving this teaching from my lifelong understanding of Tibetan Buddhism. So I hope what I will be sharing with you today, you're going to find elements of it that are applicable, that you yourself may like to investigate and perhaps even adopt and start to use in your own life. So this video was prompted by one of the conversations I had yesterday with someone within this community, someone who has been a spiritual business client, and I was catching up with her. And she was saying that she, very closely is following astrology at this point because there is a lot going on astrologically. And she said that in terms of what's going on in the world, that she is sitting on her eagle's perch. So just rising above it and just sort of, dispassionately watching what's going on, not getting involved. And I was a bit upset because I also follow astrology, and I know exactly which astrologer has been telling people, instructing people to sit on your eagle's perch. So in my mind, what we are going through with this transformation, specifically quite intensely in the United States right now, it is akin to giving birth. It is intense, it is messy, and it's really important that we give birth to something good, what I refer to as the new golden age. That is where we are heading, and that's how we need to use what's happening as a stepping stone to transform ourselves, to dig deep, and to bring out our own powerful beauty into this world. Like this, what's going on with Trump, it is something that is meant to activate us, to really start to bring out the power and the beauty within each of us. We're not allowed to just sit and hide out and veg out on our couch watching TV. The time has come where we have to dig deep and to bring out that beautiful, brilliant humanness that is within each of us. So this is about giving birth. And when I hear about people sitting on their eagle's perch, spiritual people sitting on their eagle's perch, and I have to say that I am a little upset with this particular very influential spiritual astrologer who is instructing spiritual people to sit on their eagle's perch, because it's sort of like, if there's this living room scene where this woman is giving birth, and everybody is just going and perching on the rafters like eagles and, watching. The woman needs more than just people sitting on their eagle's perch watching things unfold. The woman needs a midwife. The woman needs somebody who is there, and hopefully more than just the midwife, other community people that are there to be with her. And, the midwife is somebody who knows about the birth process and is also most specifically able to help when there is trouble. If the umbilical cord is wrapped around the baby's neck, you need a midwife who is there, who can help to untangle the baby's neck from the cord. Like birth is a dangerous thing, and you need to have competent midwife type people there. So perhaps some people don't have those skills, and the best thing they can do is to be an eagle on a perch and to hopefully warmly hold space for the birthing process. But we do need people who are willing to engage and to provide guidance and to help through the rough spots. So that is the role that I've chosen to take as a spiritual person, as a spiritual leader, to be a midwife for this process. And so this is what has prompted me to dig a little bit deeper and to offer this secret spiritual method for working with what we're going through. And because it's deep, I am going to be stepping through in what I hope will feel like a step-by-step way to introduce you to this spiritual concept. And I really hope that this is something that you will find that is going to open up a new channel for your own empowerment. So I would like to begin by talking about the opposite of what we are seeing in Trump and his oligarch buddies, for lack of a better word. So I would like to talk first about enlightened leadership, because sometimes I think we forget what that is. We're so focused on how destructive and painful what we are witnessing is, we forget, what is it that we would really want in terms of leadership. So the description of enlightened leadership I am taking from a Shambhala Buddhist chant called the Homage that was written by Dorje Drodel of Mukpo. And this is the second verse of that chant, and it is specifically about enlightened leadership. They who possess great wisdom, brilliant and profound, who are ever just and benevolent to their subjects, who subjugate their enemies and are supremely powerful. By the golden yoke of their imperial rule, they ward off duns of plague, famine, and war. And then there are naming some examples. Gesar Norbudradal, Ashoka Maharaja, emperors of Japan, China, and so on. I pay homage to the ancestral sovereigns. So some key points here. I know that some of these things are easy to understand. Obviously powerful and wise, ever just and benevolent to their subjects, who subjugate their enemies and are supremely powerful. So, hello, there are times when troublemakers arise up, and it's important to not just be, the peaceful person on your meditation cushion saying Om. There are times when you need to actually stand up and act and to deal with a troublemaker that's happening. So the enlightened leader has that ability. In this case, the words used are to subjugate their enemies. By the golden yoke of their imperial rule. So, I'm having the picture of a yoke around, what are, those cows that are used for plowing a field. But this is a golden yoke of their imperial rule. So there is this sense of that there are boundaries. There are boundaries that are enforced by a wise and benevolent and just leader. There are golden level boundaries that are enforced, and that this helps to have a peace and a lovingness within a society. So it's by the golden yoke of their imperial rule, they ward off duns, plague, famine, and war. So duns, this is a Tibetan word. And by the way, Tibetan Buddhism, it is a form of Buddhism that I feel is particularly important and helpful at this time, because it's the Buddhism that came out of India that was created by the Buddha, and it was merged with the shamanic Bun religion that was in Tibet. So it's a merging of Tibetan Buddhism, it's a merging of Indian Buddhism and the shamanic Bun religion, so that it is a shamanic form of Buddhism. And so that is what I was brought up in, and that is what I am bringing forward to you today in this teaching. So duns is a Tibetan word. Just, sort of briefly, a dun is like a misfortune. How many out here feel like President Trump is a misfortune? And maybe that's the understatement of the year. He is a misfortune. And so duns are when this kind of, unfortunate energy comes up, unfortunate circumstances. And so by having this golden yoke of imperial rule, by having, a just and benevolent ruler who really is there to serve. To be a leader is to serve. One should feel extreme humbleness to be serving as a leader, because it's all about serving the people. So through this golden yoke of their imperial rule, they ward off duns of plague, famine, and war. So it's by this energy that the leader brings, it actually wards off these things that take away the life force, the goodness, that are really big hurdles for the health and the well-being of a society. Through this power of connecting heaven and earth in a beautiful, powerful way as leader, they ward off duns of plague, famine, and war. And so then this chant names actual examples. Gesar Nor Budradal, a leader from Tibet, Ashoka Maharaja, a leader from India, and then more generally, emperors of Japan, China, and so on. And so these are examples of leaders who embodied this kind of enlightened leadership, that inherently the energy of it wards off duns of plague, famine, and war. So hopefully we can all agree that having wise, enlightened leadership is something that we would like. And, it's interesting, we can bring this into the discussions of the Aquarian age, where, there's no more hierarchy, there's no more, anybody that is a leader. It's just we're all doing it together beautifully. And what I would suggest is that we're not quite there yet, and that those who have the skills and the abilities to lead, they need to step forward and lead. And it doesn't mean that a leader is any better than somebody who is supporting what the leader is leading. There is absolute equality in that regard. A leader is not inherently better than the people, but hopefully the leader has something special, something that they have worked on, maybe something that karmically they were meant to bring forward in this lifetime. And so what they are bringing forward can be honored, and the leader can be honored for the sacrifices that they are making in order to lead. But it doesn't mean that a leader is any better than anyone else. It's certainly not about that. So just a side note, I will tell one brief story that when I first started my organization that exposed this global cult, um, my original desire was to do it as a group, to have a collective, a women's collective. And so my idea was to reach out to uh, women in this global community who were leaders, because I'm thinking, women leaders who already have that capacity to lead and who I already knew had, taken off the veils about this cult. And, I knew that these were women leaders who knew that this was like really bad stuff was happening in this community. And so I reached out to them and I said, hey, let's come together and let's do something about what is happening in this community. Because I desired to have like a group of us for us to do this together. Like, I just thought that would really be inspiring and wonderful. Like, I think we all know the wonderful feeling of being in community. And so I'm going to tell you what happened when I reached out to these women. They all responded. Not a single one was willing to join with me to challenge what was happening in the cult, in this community. And in fact, they tried to stop me. They were terrified that I was even suggesting that we expose what was going on in the community in order to put the harm to a stop. Like, we were talking major, rampant sexualized violence happening in this community. Several of the women pleaded with me not to do what I was suggesting to do. So that's when my kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, naive hope of working in a collective, that's when I realized that not every situation is ready for being a collective. And I still felt like this was important, so I moved on by myself. And I started this movement. I started an organization, and that organization did go on to expose the cult and to expose the leader as a sexual predator. So just to say that I love the sense of community that we can generate. And I think we all know how good that feels, how empowering that can be. And also, please understand, we are not like fully stabilized in the Aquarian age. There is still a place where we need to have leaders, where we need to have somebody who does, rise up and offer leadership in this time. We still need leaders. So we're in an in-between time. Let's bring out the most juice that we can bring from the Aquarian age of working in community and collective. And let's also, in a very practical way, understand that we also need leaders. There is a place for having leaders still in this day and age. So moving on to the second part of my teaching that is leading to my sharing this secret spiritual power that will defeat Trump. So I'm now going to read the first passage from another chant called the Invocation for Raising Windhorse. And actually don't know. Okay, this was written by Mipam Jamyang Namgyal. So this is Mipam Rinpoche, I believe of the 18th century, not to be confused with the Mipam Rinpoche of our current time, who is in fact the guru who I exposed through Buddhist Project Sunshine. So not to be confused with the current Sakyong Mipam Rinpoche. So again, I am going to read this passage from this chant, and this is going to take us one step further for you to be able to understand, to really understand this secret spiritual power that I am going to be sharing with you. The assembly of the three jewels, the three roots, gods and sages, the three protector Mahasattvas, Jayadevi, Padma Churching, and the Vidyadharas of India and Tibet, the glorious protector Ganapati with the divine armies of Dralas, the five patron gods, the great being Gesar, and so on. all those gods of the cosmic lineage who command coincidence. To all of those I offer clouds of real and imagined good offerings. I supplicate you. With kindness, please grant your blessings. Curses, spells, burial, sorcery, duns, obstructing spirits, obstacles, and so on. May all these signs of the weakening and corruption of Windhorse be pacified. Strife, enmity, scandal, warfare, lawsuits, recurrent calamity, and so on. Pacify all such obstructing discord. So the first half of that is just calling to this vast cosmic array of spiritual forces. And we're making offerings and supplicating them and asking with kindness for them to please grant their blessings. So what are we wanting their blessings to then apply to? Curses, spells, burial sorcery, duns, which I spoke about duns before, obstructing spirits, obstacles, and so on. May all these signs of the weakening and corruption of Windhorse be pacified. So this chant is teaching us that when we are experiencing things like things just going vastly awry, experiencing things like the election of President Trump, when we are experiencing things like him appointing his, outrageously rich billionaire buddy, Elon Musk, and everything that we are watching, these are all signs of the weakening and corruption of Windhorse. So in this chant, we're calling on these cosmic forces to pacify, to bring in Windhorse and to pacify all of these energies that are creating all of this mayhem and problems and sickness and it's attacking the fabric of society. So we are calling them in to bring in this energy called Windhorse to pacify all of these bad things that are happening. And so then it goes on to name some more. Strife, enmity. So enmity meaning like fighting and conflict. Scandal, warfare, lawsuits, recurrent calamity, and so on. Pacify all such obstructing discord. So this is just describing basically what we are witnessing, and many people are not knowing what to do about it. And so that is why I am bringing in this teaching today. And the teaching is about Windhorse. So I'll just read this one last time, this last part. Curses, spells, burial, sorcery, duns, obstructing spirits, obstacles, and so on. May all these signs of the weakening and corruption of Windhorse be pacified. Strife, enmity, scandal, warfare, lawsuits, recurrent calamity, and so on. Pacify all such obstructing discord. So what this is pointing to is that all of this is happening because of the corruption and the weakening of Windhorse. So what I would like to speak with you today about is Windhorse. So this ding, 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 ding is the secret spiritual power, Windhorse. And in Tibetan, it's called Lungta. So I know that, these two passages from chants, they're already starting to illuminate what the weakening of Windhorse, the corruption of Windhorse looks like, these bad things. So what it might look like is you feeling depressed, you waking up in the morning and dreading heading into the day, you dreading heading out of your door into the world. It has the quality of being like roadkill. So like a car traveling down a highway hits an animal, the animal dies, hopefully instantly, and its carcass, its body is just left on the road, roadkill. And when people's own personal Windhorse or Lungta has been sabotaged or eaten away at or corrupted or weakened, they will feel like roadkill, like the extreme is to feel like roadkill. Like you can't even lift a finger to help yourself out of this situation. That is the opposite of having good, healthy lungta. And so, what I'm suggesting is that by us actively empowering our lungta, that's what I did for the work that I did with Buddhist Project Sunshine. I had to raise a lot of lungta, especially after, my initial reach out to all the women leaders so that, together we could, overcome this darkness in the community. And they were like, please don't do this. I'm begging you, don't do this. I had to raise a lot of lungta to do what I did of forming an organization, overseeing an investigation that led to the complete and utter exposure of what was going on in major media. And I want you to understand, speaking to reporters like at the New York Times and the Guardian, speaking to reporters, that required a lot of lungta. It required me being in a place of feeling it like this. I don't even want to use the word empowered, because what I'm trying to share with you today, it goes beyond what we might be calling empowered. Because I think that, empowered is a word that's been used in a lot of ways, and I think it's watered down a bit. And, I think people are not knowing how to step into empowerment. And so, by what I am sharing today, I am wanting to help you to actually step into and have an embodied feeling of the raising of lungta within your being. And to just give you some motivation to do this, by raising your lungta, you then are not bowled over or overwhelmed or horribly impacted by the grotesquities of Trump's, what he is saying, what he is doing, seeing him on the news, and also knowing that he is having profound impact not only in the United States, but in many parts of the world. By raising your own lungta, you realize that he is playing a small game. He is playing in like the low fields with the kindergartners, and that you can actually raise up into actual spiritual warriorship, and you can be playing in the larger fields. You can be bigger and more powerful than little Trump. And honestly, that is what I did with Buddhist Project Sunshine. At the beginning of the game, the leadership and this guru, very powerful, very powerful. This particular community, all other Tibetan Buddhist community leaders were looking to him as the example, this community as their example. This was the most influential Tibetan Buddhist community in the world. So very powerful, seemingly, that there was nothing that could be done about this, to the point where women leaders were afraid of even challenging them. So this is where things started. But I really created a strong spiritual base, and I was raising my lungta so that I could be playing a much bigger game than the little game of these guys who were running this community and, having this revolving door of having women come in for sex. Like, it was crazy. It was really crazy. And they appeared to be very powerful, but their foundation was very weak. When you're doing that kind of thing, your foundation is very weak. So that's why it is important for us as individual citizens of the US and of the world to work with our own spiritual foundation and to create a very strong basis within ourselves. Really make sure that we are doing the work to be clearing our own closets so that we are not being sort of self-disempowered by having a whole lot of skeletons in our own closet. We do need to clean out our own closet so that we can step into our authenticity. I know that that's a word that really resonates with people in my community, authenticity. By raising your lungta, you're able to show up in a very authentic way about who you are. And that commands respect from everyone around you. They feel your authenticity. Lungta is really about you creating a generation of uplifted energy within yourself. And people sense your energy. When you are coming from a very authentic place, people, they feel your energy. They feel the vibration of your words. I have so many people say to me, I feel that what you're saying is true. I can feel it. I can feel it in my body. I know that what you're saying is true. And I'm not putting myself up on a pedestal. It is possible that I can see something that is wrong. But for the most part, I'm saying a lot of things that are resonating as true for a lot of people. And so when you create your very strong spiritual foundation, you are then able to speak with that kind of authority and authenticity that people, they know that what you're saying is true. And that is a lot more powerful than the energy that Trump puts out when he is talking. I mean, what I experience in Trump is he has this, I can do whatever I want to do kind of like energy in his voice. And unfortunately, that has appealed to quite a lot of people who are fed up and feeling powerless and hopeless. And so they love that energy. I can do whatever I want to do. I can do whatever I want to do. It's ugly. Can you see the ugliness on my face when I say it? It's ugly. It's not real power. And what I'm suggesting is that you can tap into real power. So let's talk for just another minute about how to raise lungta. So that chant talked about the weakening and the corruption of lungta. And, frankly, what we're seeing in the United States is the weakening and corruption of lungta. Trump and his cronies, what they have done, they are just like, they're demoralizing people. And at the same time, there's some people that are saying, no way, no way. And, they're rising up, which is awesome. So what I'm talking about is maybe even a more clear and more pure and more powerful rising up when I'm talking about the raising of lungta. And so some simple ways, like lungta is really about having a sparkling interior environment, having a sparkling exterior environment so that you can sparkle. And this is not about compulsive cleaning. This is about authentic cleaning and being willing to roll up your sleeves, like the midwife, being willing to roll up your sleeves, get dirty and clean up a situation, and getting things into a clean and pure and beautiful place. So this can include taking care of the mandala of your body. So eating good food. Don't eat sugar. Don't eat crap. Don't put that into your body. Treat your body as a sacred vessel. Eat good food. And if you're used to eating a lot of sugar, then, start to taper it back. Move in the right direction of treating your body as a sacred mandala. And by clearing your sacred mandala, you will automatically within yourself be raising lungta within your body. And, it can be hard to let go of bad things, but taking the step up, you've always have this choice, take the step up or take the step down. Take the step up, a little more challenging, take the step down. Oh, well, this is a lot easier, feels more comfortable. So this is a time of taking the step up and doing something that may be a little more challenging to improve your own health, how you're taking care of your body. So this includes what you feed yourself. It includes making sure that you drink plenty of water every day. It includes getting out into nature and into sunshine as much as possible. It includes sleeping well, really paying attention and doing practices that will allow for good sleep hygiene. So there's all these elements on the body level that will help you to raise your lungta, raise your windhorse, raise your feeling of no longer being the roadkill, but instead feeling like an empowered warrior. There are also things that you can do in your environment. In one of my past videos, I said, you can do little simple things like, your chrome tap in your bathroom. Like, wipe it off every night. Keep it nice and sparkly clean so that when you wake up in the morning, you're facing a sparkly, water tap. Like these little things, they they just cause this uplifting in your environment, and it causes an uplifting in your mind and your heart. And it's a way of kind of pushing it back, the darkness, saying, no, I can create a really good life for myself here. And it can be inspiring, it can be uplifting. So this also includes keeping your place tidy. Yes, it can be helpful to keep your place tidy because it keeps your place uplifted. You will feel uplifted in your place. It's worth that effort. It's taking a step up to keep your place tidy. These kind of basic practices can really help to uplift yourself and to raise your lungta. So now let me go a bit more deeply into this. There are practices for raising lungta, which first of all, I'm not authorized, but also I'm just not feeling prepared to be teaching these specific practices for raising lungta. But I would like to share some of the basic principles of these practices. And for raising lungta, it has something to do, like with these chants that I brought in the beginning, of having like a right order, of having leaders in the places where we would want those leaders to be, and honoring them, respecting them, being grateful to them for what they are, how they are serving us as the people. So there are things like respecting our father lineage. So this would be, good examples of the father energy, respecting the father lineage, respecting the ancestral lineage. So ancestors that are examples, that provided really good examples of leadership and who, really helped us to have the lives, the good things in our lives today. So honoring the ancestral lineage. And of course, taking a moment in a soft way with our hearts open of honoring the mother lineage, honoring that really powerful, strong, loving nature of the mother lineage. Like there is nothing that compares to the gift of the mother lineage. And so taking a moment to honor that. And after having honored the father lineage, the ancestral lineage, the mother lineage, then going into action, doing something that needs to be done. Maybe it is attacking a cleaning project at home, or maybe it is writing a letter that needs to be written to go out to a whole bunch of people to inspire them into a better place. It can be challenging to raise that energy to write that letter. And so, having, paid your respect in a mindful and grateful and honoring way, then doing what needs to be done. So actually like cutting through all your resistance and actually doing it, sitting down and actually doing it, or rolling up your sleeves and doing that cleaning project, doing it, cutting through the resistance and actually doing it. There is so many things out there that teach us to hesitate and to hold back. So what I am teaching you with this Lungta windhorse practice is that you pay honor, and then you actually accomplish something, you do something. And then the final part of this process of raising Lungta is that after you've done the project, the task, then you let go. You 100% let go. You don't take credit for it. You let it 100%, over 100%, completely let it go so that it is clean. This is a way of doing something in a clean way, is that after you've completed it, then you let go and you rest in space. You rest in the emptiness after having completed it. I see that I didn't have the microphone. I hoped that this came through in a clear way. I didn't have the microphone over. In any case, I have come to the end of what I wanted to share. This is a secret teaching about Lungta, and I feel that it is important to be sharing it to address what is going on with Trump at this time. I hope that you will receive it in a good way, and may the father, ancestral, and mother lineages bless what has been shared today. Thank you.